love a trip down memory lane, and when it comes to nostalgia, nothing hits the mark like a race rep. And in my opinion, the most iconic of those reps came from the 90s and noughties, a time when legislation didn't get in the way. Whatever you wanted, it was on the side of a bike. Beer, cigarettes, energy drinks with so many E numbers, you'd be better off giving your kids alcohol. They plastered motorcycles the world over. It was a fantastic time. And let's not forget, at the same time, there were some great, innovative and exciting machines hitting the scene. Every other year, a manufacturer would bring about a whole new bike, something that was completely different, trying to push the envelope that little bit further. And today, we're here to remember some of those iconic machines, fueled by some fantastic race reps. So without further ado, welcome to Ultimate Sports Bike 2024, the Icons. So how's it going to work? Well, we teamed up with Renaissance Racing, who brought along 5 of their fantastic machines to Cadwell Park for us to spin laps over the next 2 days with no limits track days to get a feel of these machines. We've got Kawasaki's ZX7R, Yamaha's YZF750, Ducati's 996, Honda's SP1 and Suzuki's GSX-R 750 S-Rad. Great options, but are we going to be looking at them through rose-tinted glasses, or can they still deliver to this day, 20 to 30 years on from when they first hit the scene? Who knows, but we will know that by the end of this test. But before we get into it, just to say a massive thanks to our backers, R&G, who are once again back on board, as are Michelin, that are providing the control tyre for this test. We're going to be using their new Power GP2 rubber. And to keep us safe on track, we're lucky to be supported by Shark with their new Aeron GP helmet.
Where are we? Oh, we're here. So for this year's Ultimate Sports Bike test, we're using Michelin's Power GP2 tyre. We used the GP Power first generation back in 21 on the Ultimate Sports Bike test. Brilliant tyre, so we thought, let's stick with it again. They've brought the latest evolution out. We've got it across the board on all 5 bikes. It's a great tyre. It's road legal, very track inclined, so super sticky, and just a job for this year's Ultimate Sports Bike test.
So, the Honda SP1 VTR1000. This is what happens when Honda got fed up with getting whipped by the Ducatis in World Superbike. They went from running the 4-cylinder 750 formula into the 1000cc V-twin formula. They came out in the year 2000 and they competed in the World Superbike Championship 3 times with it, winning it twice and runner-up once. So this bike's all about the engine. Honda went really big on it. To get the most benefit out of the rulebook, they went all the way to 999cc, so it actually had a capacity advantage over the Ducatis. And they did that with a huge 100mm bore in the cylinders. So the pistons in this thing are massive. And then the other thing to note that's really tricky about this engine is it got Honda's gear-driven camshaft system, which is completely unique to them. It's a beauty. So this SP1 has been done up as a Joey Dunlop replica. Of course, it's not the real bike. So 2000 was Joey's last TT ever, and Honda shipped in a World Superbike engine for him for that race. He used this colour scheme in the F1 race, which was the first Superbike race of the week, and he won that race, which was his 24th victory. He went on to win 2 more that week on the 125 and 250cc class to get to his total tally and final tally of 26. And then in the senior TT, he actually raced an SP1, but in different colours. It was in the Vimto colours, the purple one, which would be his last ever TT race. And interestingly, on that race, his last lap of that last race, he set his best ever lap of the TT course. So it's only right that this replica should be in Joey's colours.
So we had to start somewhere, and it begins with Honda's VTR1000 SP1. I'll tell you what, I've only ever ridden one of these before. It was on a bit of a nightmare test, wasn't it?
My first test on fast bike
It did not end well.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it was probably not the best example of an SP1. So for me today, this bike has been a revelation because it's just been so good. I don't even know where to start with it other than to say that it's probably, of the pack, the closest related to a contemporary sports bike. It's it's still heavier, it's still bulkier. It's a physical thing to kind of move around. The brakes aren't quite as good. I mean, you can knock it in every respect when you compare it to a modern sports bike, even just pushing it around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got so much charm.
Some magic there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's got so much potential. It's great fun to hustle around. I love that V-twin engine as well. I mean, that's just something special about that.
The SP1 is quite a sort of a mythical bike, wasn't it? The story behind how it all came about and the reason behind it, and
it was purpose built
to win the World Championship. Yeah, I mean,
and it did it.
And it did it twice. They entered the championship 3 times, and they won it twice and got runner-up once. So point proven. So riding this bike, I didn't quite know what to expect, if I'm honest. It's hard, but then you stop and you think this bike's 24 years old.
Is that what it is? It's crazy when you think that.
Which is absolutely bonkers, and you just think, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
But you're right, on the track, it's just a joy, and it is nothing like the other bikes either, is it?
No, it's that closest relation, and I love a twin as well. I think it has got a good amount of drive and punch out of corners, but it's not aggressive. We'll come on to the other bikes later. We've got 4 more videos after this, but while we're talking about this bike here, it felt the most refined with the throttle pickup as well when you're driving out of corners. It felt super planted. I should say that, again, without going into it, but all the bikes we've tested today, the handling's been surprisingly good. The guy that owns them, he's spent a bit of money and a bit of time setting these bikes up, so that's been a pleasant surprise.
Definitely,
But yeah, I love that engine. You don't rev it all that hard. That's one thing about it. You had to kind of calibrate your head as to, I don't even think you get anywhere near 10,000 RPM.
No, you just sort of blast along, don't you, with it? Once you
chuck another gear in it and away you go.
Speaking of which, gearbox.
Gearbox is very good.
So silky, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we should point out again at this stage, none of the bikes today that we've been testing have got a blipper or shifter. But this bike here, you can almost yes, you do need to roll off.
Yeah.
On occasion, you will need to use the clutch, but you can kind of get away a little bit.
It's so
you can
good.
Abuse it is probably the best way of phrasing it. You can ask things of it that you can't on some of the others, and it just seems really seamless. And again, the moment you ask for that drive, it's there, it punches its way up, goes up through the box.
Yeah.
No issues there whatsoever. In fact, it is quite a hard bike to fault, especially again when you think of its age and what it is and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree.
It's so big, sizable, you kind of took yourself in.
Physical bike, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is a physical bike, but I also liked the size of it. Down the back straight here, for instance, you really are behind that big screen.
Right, even I can get in behind it.
Could you?
Yeah,
well, no.
Well, exactly, there's not many bikes.
7'4".
9'6". So the seat is really long, isn't it? I mean, it's quite wide as well, but not many bikes I can tuck in and get my elbows in front of my knees. They're always on top of my knees because they're just
too small, aren't they?
I've got proper man legs. And on this I can get right back in the seat and get my chin right on the tank, and there's not many bikes I can do that with. Well, sports bikes anyway.
Yeah, I mean it properly shows its age with the size and the geometry of the bike. It is a very relaxed bike to sit on as well, low in the saddle. I mean this bike's got clip-ons on, but the bars are quite nice and broad, and
it's just a really nice place to be, and you've got that digital dash as well. Which the others don't, do they?
No.
It's quite a trick. Again, go back to the year 2000.
Yeah.
That was like...
That's the caveat here, isn't it? Before we get too excited. I mean, it is... Yeah. It's got all the hallmarks of a bike of the early noughties.
Yeah.
But a bike that works well, and it's, as I said before, it's hard to criticise.
It was quite interesting, I thought, how felt real stable going into corners.
Yeah.
Almost lazy. But not so lazy that you actually had to really pull it down into the corner. It would drop in nicely. And then probably the only thing I would say with regards to that, we're going through the corner, is that point in the middle of the corner, I felt I still had to keep putting some positive input into it to keep it turning through the middle. And then obviously once you get on the gas it was okay. But I think that's probably more to do with the setup.
Yeah, I found it physical. That was the thing. It would do what I asked of it, but I had to put effort in to make it do it, if that makes sense. So certain corners, actually it was fast changes of direction. So through the top of the gooseneck where you go from full right to full left, I felt I had to kind of...
It's a big effort. It's a big pull there, isn't it, to go all the way? Yeah.
Again, you've got you know, the chicane, you've got hall bends, you've got so many places at this track where you're asking for a change of mass, you know, from one side to the other. You want that quick direction change, and it will do it.
Yeah.
But it comes at a price, and that price is exhaustion on your part.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but at the same time, you know, as you say, maybe a bit more ride height on the rear.
A little bit more at the back, because
Yeah.
it is quite a tall bike, I think, and I think it, I don't know, maybe it feels like it carries its weight quite, maybe a little bit higher. Its centre of gravity is probably a little bit higher than some of the other bikes, but I
Yeah.
don't know. But that's just, it's a tiny, tiny detail. But for me, the big thing about this bike is how it's obviously the old one out in the group.
Yeah,
For the right reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Genuinely, and I'm not just saying, there's times when I was going around through the woods up at Hall Bend and Barn, that section where it's all under trees, and I was thinking, this could be.
Did you start crying to
This
yourself?
could be the TT, you know. And we've got this whole paint scheme going on, the Joey thing and everything, and it's like, if a bike can make a daft old man like me feel like I'm actually riding someone else's bike, and this must have been what it was like almost.
Yeah.
Then job done.
Yeah. Now, do you know what? It's funny, isn't it? Because I think there are going to be a lot of people out there with memories that relate to the SP1. I mean, for me, actually, the first ever time I came to watch a British Superbike round was here. It was 2003.
Oh wow, yeah.
No, it was 2004.
What, were you 8 years old then? 8, 9 years old?
Something like that, yeah. 2004, I'd have been 16, and I rode here on my 50cc, and I watched Steve Plater ride the wheels off of his...
Was that black and red one? Was it
Yeah,
the Honda one? Yeah.
I can't remember if it was an SP1 or an SP2. I think it was Colin Edwards' ex-World Superbike, essentially, that he was on.
Probably an SP.
He was out in the lead, jumped the mountain, chain came off. I think he even got the chain back on and got back into the race. And then I believe, if my memory serves me right, he went back out in the next race and won it. And anyway, this bike has brought that memory back to me. A special time on a special bike, and just hearing it. I mean, the cans on this are nice. They're not kind of in your face.
They're not mega
or
loud,
whatever.
are they? Although, did your heel catch them a few times?
No.
Probably got bigger feet.
No, but it was one of those things that down changes in particular, you get that bit of overrun.
Yeah.
You know, those pops and whatnot that big twins make happen. And I just thought, you know what, it sounds great, it looks great.
Feels great.
Yeah, it's not out of place in today's market.
No,
and I think
not at all.
if you were going to invest in you know, a bike from the early noughties, what better place to start than one of these, even for the road, but especially for the track.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And yeah, with this bike in particular, I was saying to Kieran, the owner, I said, really all this bike probably needs is a quick action throttle, because it's quite a long throttle on it, isn't it? And for me, a little bit of time just setting it up, like you say, a little bit of ride height, and it doesn't need anything else. It's that good.
Yeah. So that's our take on the fantastic Honda SP1. Don't forget, we've got 4 more videos coming your way, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on all the action.